Well, I'm curious. I don't follow the Trump trial, and I really kind of part of the reason I don't follow it is there's probably a term for it, but I just think that it's irrelevant because I think you've told me it's not, but my not knowing enough about it makes
Define
me feel
irrelevant.
like, well, if he loses, can't he just still win the presidency and forgive himself? And all the people that are going to vote for him, do they care
Mm.
whether how his trial goes? I mean, part of me
Probably
thinks
not.
there's a conspiracy like no matter what, he's just still going to get president, And so
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's probably. I don't know that the most recent New York conviction is going to affect things, although his sentencing hasn't occurred yet, as far as I know. I follow all this stuff, right? Like I'm in the subreddits, law, politics, liberal, conservative, all of it, and it just gets to be constant headlines. So it's kind of hard to like take a big interest in it. I do find that what I get in some of the legal subreddits to be a little more punctuated in terms of what I think matters, but that's I'm more I think that stuff matters more, right? Like what did the Supreme Court decide to do about this? And these are state level crimes that he was convicted of, so he can't pardon himself. Um, but I mean, obviously, this is uncharted water. I don't know that they could incarcerate him. I don't know that you can serve from state prison. I think they would have to commute it somehow, and then he would be able to serve the rest of it when he got out, which that could be probably pretty problematic since at least once he has appeared to not really want to leave. But I don't know. And also like my understanding of the crimes in this situation, and we could get into it. I don't think it matters a ton. I think it does matter that this isn't a hush money trial. This is a violation of election law trial, and because the hush money was paid in violation. That is the thing he did that violated election law, campaign finance law. But so it does matter. I just it's a first time offender. It's probably going to be just probation. I don't think anything's coming of that in terms of him going to jail. But there are several other trials coming up. I believe Georgia, for instance, that is directly related to more serious crimes, alleged crimes. I don't know.
I
I
feel
I
like
do
Trump
try
is
to
the
just like
perfect
once a
name
month. Yeah, yeah.
because it's like he's
It's
Trump
interesting.
and he just trumps all of like files bankruptcy, like he's Trump, so he just trumps it and he still has money and he's gonna trump the legal system and just get president. Like
Yeah.
it's
So I
it's
think the phenomenon of this populist candidate is kind of that. It's the cancel culture and it's the cancel culture, and I think some people probably felt, men in particular, probably felt that Me Too branched into uh, some ancillary issues, but that weren't necessarily a power issue in the same way. Um, and men maybe felt like men and probably people on the right. It's just this conservative, traditional, not necessarily in a political sense, but in a we don't want things to change sense, even though there's those meanings are sort of the same. Uh, Thinking all these people telling me I need to be X, Y, and Z way are bullshit, and I'm so tired of being told that I'm wrong and that I caused this and X, Y, and Z. And so when some guy comes along and he says, "Yeah, it is all bullshit," and like he's saying what they want to hear, of course, like he also has a history of saying this is all bullshit when it's definitely not. Like this is it does appear like most of these ancillary enterprises that he's established over the years were sort of like fraudulent, and I think he has this appeal as being like a very successful businessman, um, which is which is you know probably in part warranted, depending on how you think of what successful business is. So, like, I found the previous case in New York much, much, much more interesting. That was was it Deutsche Bank? I can't remember. But he had essentially, I'm going to butcher this somehow. He had essentially undervalued his property for tax purposes and then overvalued his property for collateral purposes. And and that's fraud. And I've had several people in my life who are very educated, not necessarily about law, tell me that that's how things are done. And they're wrong. That is not how things are done. The statute very clearly, because I remember listening to a podcast where they read the statute and they were like, this is fraud. And it was knowingly that he had done it. And so then it became this question of like, yeah, but that's a victimless crime. And because he paid it back, right? I think, I don't know. But it's not, because that's not how interest rates are calculated wholesale. Like if one person gets one that they don't deserve, everyone else is paying higher. Ask the actuaries. They don't just say, well, he paid it back, so everyone else is the same as they always would have been. Like, and it's just amazing to me that you see this like real estate bubble kind of again, and inflation as a and inflation and I would just say like economic pain as a result of what we think are maybe problematic interest rates from the Fed. And those same people who are like, see, Biden did this and can remember 2008 will simultaneously be like, yeah, the Trump's doing what they all do. This is how business is done. I'm like, well, you can't.
Yeah.
They're all the same. Like we have to prosecute fraud in America more than we do, because at the highest level, it affects the most people. Like, I mean, I've also heard this promoted quite a bit that this Biden is weaponizing the IRS and he's going after all of these. Yeah, please do. I'd like everyone to pay their taxes. Now, I don't think, maybe I think taxes are too high, but it's kind of bullshit that like only the rich people get to like structure their way out of it, right? And
Yeah, it is.
I'd really like to see people see him for what he is in that context. So is he a successful business person? I mean, sure, if you think all successful businesses are, kind of bending the rules, maybe they are. Uh, I don't know that I want ExxonMobil running the country either.
Right.
So, so I don't know, but that's the dynamic. I thought that was very telling because I was like, this is clearly an insight into a lot of his businesses are like kind of disingenuously leveraged and collateralized and then leveraged and collateralized. And then like, it does appear like he doesn't have as much liquidity as he claimed he did because he couldn't pay that judgment or it appeared he couldn't up until like the 11th hour. Um, and so then you have this cross dynamic that's occurred where people are like, that's just like they're just picking on him. That's just your news source. And so now it's the fake news phenomenon, which is it's an attempt to fight facts with devaluing the classification of what a fact is to the point where there are no facts. And the same group of people who are saying facts don't care about your feelings are also saying there are no facts.